Hi, I'm Cody Briscoe, and I am taking my Lexapro, Mr. Hodges. Leave a comment if you know what that's from, because I could use a new friend. Welcome to Chapter 2 of the Onision Book Club. I'm sorry for the delay, I've had a lot going on in my life. I've recently moved, I'm working a new job, I'm currently living in a trailer in the middle of snowy mountain. So if you hear a noise in the background, that's my heater. I apologize for the noise, but I hope you just put up with it because I'm not going to turn it off because I need to stay warm. I previously read the first chapter of Reaper's Creek, which was fucking awful. Basically what happened was there's a kid named James, or Greg, or Daniel, or something, who he hates his dad. He lives in the woods. His stepdad is hot. He hates his sister. He hates religion. He's 11 years old and he already is this cynical, because it's totally not just a placeholder for a 35-year-old man. Nothing happened in terms of the plot as far as I can remember. Like, I think he went to school or something, and the chapter ended with his mom coming home, and it was like a cliffhanger, but like there was no tension to make it a cliffhanger. He was like, but mom gets home at 9:30 or something. And then the chapter didn't really have a cliffhanger, it just kind of stopped. So, let me find my place. Unfortunately, I do not have my highlighters. I was planning on highlighting and keeping tabs while I was reading, but I just don't have them, so I can't do that. I'm so sorry. While I am reading this, I figure I would have myself a little mukbang of a single bag of hot Cheetos. I made some onion soup in the last video, and I know I'm stalling for time. I made some onion soup in the last video. It was actually pretty good. My mom said she liked it, but she could be lying to me because my mommy loves me. If I'm reading Greg, I kind of have to. Chapter 2, The Cold Glass Smack. My mom was a little late getting home. Traffic. Fuck. It's literally just my mom was a little late getting home, comma, traffic. I know what he's trying to say, but that doesn't work. She threw her keys on the table and hugged her husband, my stepdad, Donnie. How are my kids? My mom asked. Papa replied, these little rascals, they're alive. My mom glared at Papa, clearly not satisfied with the bare minimum requirement that we did not die on his watch. My mom told us to fend for ourselves for dinner. Okay. So the mom, like, glares because the dad makes a joke and says, oh, they're alive. But then she tells the kids to fend for themselves for dinner. Okay. What the fuck is this woman? With her matted down, dyed red hair and basic makeup smeared after a long day's work. That's such a mouthful. She was off to take a shower and spend the rest of the day watching VHS movies on her 13-inch TV in her bedroom, laying on the custom log bed Papa had made her. That was one sentence. Joanna walked into the front room and yelled through the front door to my mom, asking, hey Mom, can I go to Uncle Matt's house for the bonfire? My mom screamed back, I don't care! So Joanna immediately smiled and ran off to get her jacket. I want to go, I screamed after Joanna. Because this kid seemed so social before. I just realized what chapter this is, and I'm so excited to read this. Joanna replied, I don't care, just stay away from me. I smiled and ran to get my own coat as well. Our neighborhood was a quiet place. We lived in the middle of nowhere. Our neighbors' houses were a good 1,000 feet from one another, and at the very least, leaving us to easily mind our own business. I cannot handle his prose. It is so hard to, like, keep your place when you're reading, like Greg's writing, because it literally, it reads like something a 9th grader would write. Actually, not even a 9th grader. It's like 7th grader. A creek ran through our small village, the titular Creek of the Reaper. Most family members were in the area, which is why my mom clearly had no problem with us running over to a bonfire after the sun had already gone down. One sentence. No, that was, okay, that paragraph was 2 sentences, so whatever. But also, I want to point out, while I'm reading just how big the letters are and how far they are spaced apart, because it makes me want to get a word count, just to get the text file that just has this entire book, and just make the spacing, to a normal book, just to see how many pages this should be. And again, there is no page numbers, so I don't know yet, because it feels like. Do you remember that thing that you did when you were a kid when you wanted to cheat on an essay and make it longer? So you would make the spacing a little bit wider, give it a little bit bigger font. This is like this, but in book form. And I lost my place in the page. Fuck. Okay, yeah, never mind. To get to my uncle's, we had to cross a bridge that was falling apart. It had boards with giant nails punched through them. The boards weren't parallel or consistent in width or length. The bridge had handrails, and support system were made of metal cables. Tiny wires wrapped around one another, slowly rusting over time. To say the bridge was not appropriate for a child as young as myself would be an understatement. Okay, that's another contradiction right there. I'm sorry. This kid is not consistent. I can't stand him. So, this kid who, once he gets done with his chores, he goes and jumps and gleefully, and he describes it as one of his happy place. He gleefully is swinging on this old rusty tire swing, and he's so happy with that. But walking across an old bridge, that's too much. Okay, got it. After crossing the slippery bridge in the dark, we could see the bonfire, people laughing, and clearly already intoxicated. So, every time alcohol is mentioned in this chapter, I will take a drink. My mom trusted my family, but considering how much alcohol ran through our bloodline, I'm not sure why she would at this hour. The night was mostly uneventful till one of my uncles offered me some whiskey. I was mostly opposed to drinking alcohol and drugs regardless of who used them. I was mostly opposed to drinking alcohol and drugs. So, what is the exception there? When does he make that exception? He makes that exception when you're Sarah and you're underage and you want Sarah to drink, of course. However, I was even more worried about drinking off the same bottle as my uncle. Strangely enough, I am more anti-germs than anti-drugs, and I am really anti-drugs. What? Okay, so I'm thinking, when you're an 11-year-old, right? Your idea of drugs, and I was an 11-year-old who lived in a household where there was drugs. Your idea of drugs as a kid is just, oh, it's thing bad, and you don't really know any specifics about it. And you're told in school that drugs are bad, but they never, as far as my experience, they never went into detail about the drugs. They just kind of said, oh, this is pot, this is coke, whatever. But they don't say really what it is. You just kind of knew the names of them. And what I'm trying to say is, an 11-year-old can't be anti-drugs because an 11-year-old doesn't fully grasp the concept of drugs. However, a 35-year-old Onision can be anti-drugs. Come on, Daniel, take a sip, my uncle screamed. He was the oldest of all the kids in my mom's immediate family and lived across the creek from my Uncle Matt. My other family members got around the fire got quiet as I replied to him. No. I will take a drink in Daniel's stead. I think at the beginning of this video I said Greg, James, and some other one, but I think I got all the names wrong. However, my uncle did not like this answer and said, "What are you, some kind of wussy? Take some whiskey." I said again, "No, I don't want any." My aunt, just to my right, looked at me and said, "Come on, Daniel, it's just whiskey." Okay, so again, sharing personal experience, but I feel as a kid, maybe on New Year's, if you're 11 or 10, or 11 or 12, sorry. If you're 11 or 10, some parents might let their kid take a sip of champagne or whatever at New Year's or whatever, and the kid says, "Oh, it's gross," and then everybody laughs. Or around when you're maybe 14 to 16 is when your older brothers and their friends start drinking, and they, you might have a beer with your older brothers something before you're 21. But it's no adult ever offers hard liquor to a child. I feel like this is like a fucking fantasy. And I'm not trying to say that, this has never happened. But what I'm saying is, I think Onision is exaggerating this situation. I sat there silently, angry that an otherwise good night, he has spent the entirety of the chapter complaining about how terrible the night is. Angry that an otherwise good night was turning into an awkward situation where my own blood was trying to infect me with a lifelong addiction. Yes, an 11-year-old is thinking these things. I saw what it did to them, and I didn't want that to be me. I saw what it did to them. You are 11. So since you were born, and you've been cognizant and conscious and stuff, you're like 6, and you're observing your aunt, and you're a 6-year-old thinking, I gotta observe these pattern of behavior and make sure that doesn't happen to me. I've grown up seeing how alcohol has affected my family, and I'm 11. Yeah, okay, fuck off. My uncle hollered sitting opposite of me around the bonfire, "Here," as he threw the bottle to me. I didn't even try to catch the bottle, and it smacked against my knee. Immediately, I jumped up and yelled, "I said no! Why did you have to ruin my night?" And before he could respond, I stormed off towards the bridge to go home. Aw, poor baby, aw. Even if you didn't want to drink it, you could have caught the bottle and placed it on the table. My sister Joanna was in my Uncle Matt's house, so she didn't see what happened. She didn't hear what they screamed after me as I walked away, and I was so upset, I didn't process what they said either. Full of rage, my whole walk home seemed instantaneous despite the walk being about a quarter-mile in distance. Okay, a quarter-mile walk is basically fucking instantaneous. Okay, so I'm living in a trailer, and I'm living on property where I'm working. And where I work is like 80% of a mile away. Even that walk is like, I don't know, maybe 7-8 minutes. A quarter-mile walk? That is a parking lot. Are you fucking kidding me? The timely shower I took daily was spent in silence on the night. I just stood there, brewing, staring at the knee that had been smacked by the whiskey bottle. No, you intentionally didn't catch it to be dramatic, and it hit your knee. And you knew it would fucking hit your knee, Greg. This is what you're doing. This doesn't make any sense. This would only further my frustration with people who drank alcohol. I would have understood if I was at least drinking age, but they didn't care, and my mom trusted them. Why? Why are we... I'm curious, and I know roughly what happens with the mom character, but I still don't really know why we're supposed to care about the mom, because it's like, and the mom trusted her, but so it should be like, are we supposed to be wondering, like, oh no, is this a flaw in this good mother that we've been set up to? But like, his mom seems neglectful from all that we've seen, but the character like completely reveres the mother, which kind of mirrors real life with, Tammy Jackson, the predator who molested her son Greg with full body massages his entire life. My head slammed against my pillow, right next to the blaring furnace that heated my entire tiny house. Is it his bedroom? Did he refer to his bedroom as a house? Okay. The burning gas-filled sound... Okay, no, I'm confused. That was me. So his bedroom is in, like, the boiler furnace room of the house. And it's hanging on chains above, like, the hot water heater or the washer or some shit. So he is hearing the machinery that is heating up his house. And again, I hate that this is such a thing in the book because it's such a bizarre image. And I think Greg wrote this in just because he thought it was cool. But it's just weird. Like, has this been a hammock? We don't really know. The burning gas-filled sound was a welcome relief from the disappointment I felt for my family that night. I knew if I was an adult and saw another adult trying to get a kid to drink, I'd throw them in the creek head first. Unless that kid is Sarah. But no one did anything. No one defended me. My eyes closed. How could this night get any worse? You just said that the night was mostly good, but it like that was like one bad thing that happened in your night. You went to a party, you got to hang out, you know, you were on the tire swing, you were in the creek, you said this was a good day, and I can't fucking stand this character. This is, as much as I don't like Holden Caulfield, like, this is like a whole new level. I thought to myself, not realizing the night was not over yet. My dreams owned my sleep and my soul. They were about to take me to a place I had never been before. Something was very different. I felt a chill to my bones. I woke up in darkness, no longer in my bed. I was in the middle of a massive nothing. No sign of walls, no sign of a room of any kind, just silence. I could hear a crackling noise, but it wasn't with my ears. It was like a noise you remember, only this was playing in the back of my skull. I went to touch the back of my head when I was interrupted by another non-audible noise. I want to highlight that wording, non-audible noise. Okay. Much like my videos, the sound of no hands clapping. It was a voice, but it was speaking a language I had never heard before. I looked up and saw a warped face. It was at this point I knew I was not in my world anymore. I was in a dream. Despite the warped face now being closer to my eyes than before, it remained hard to make out. Like my eyes were sleepy, causing an intense blur. Only I could see their body clearly. Their long, skinny legs, their stick-like arms. I could even somehow see their spine protruding outward and hunched forward, despite me having no clear sight of their back. In dreams, I can hear things most can't. I can see things most can't see. He's flexing that he can dream better than you, okay? This next sentence that I'm about to read makes absolutely no sense, and it's my favorite sentence of the chapter. I have no explanation, cognitive abilities in a sleeping state. And that's it. That's the whole sentence. If anybody knows what that could possibly mean, please let me know. This alien figure, the first time they're saying it's aliens, and also, yes, this book does have aliens in it, but it's not necessarily a sci-fi. I don't know what genre it is. This alien figure spoke what I can only remember as sharp, aggressive whispers. I was paralyzed, unable to escape, a perfect victim for whatever the creature wanted to do to me. This is what a fly would feel like, trapped in a spider web. Only I couldn't even struggle. I was paralyzed physically and mentally. That actually wasn't a bad comparison. The alien graced the back of my neck with his twig-like fingers. That's a creepy image. He brushed both hands down the sides of my face, and shortly after that lined one finger up with the front of my throat. I began to feel a piercing sensation, but it was accompanied by the sensation that I was being choked as the alien pushed their finger into my neck. And then the alien shaved your head, right? Sorry. I could see from another perspective within the dream that they had submerged half of their finger under my flesh. As if my soul was outside of my body, I could see myself being impaled by this cold gray creature. My eyes turned black as I began to choke up a mud and ash like a paste out of my mouth. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. We're happy, so happy, good morning to you. My mom sang in the most irritating way to get me up every other morning. I looked over my bed rail and there she was, with my lunch packed, my backpack in her hand, clearly indicating I was going to be late for the bus. Time to go to school. Okay. So, the final half of the chapter is, I'm not going to say it's good, but there's at least something happening, so I'm kind of like a little bit enthralled. The prose is still as awful as ever. The first half of the chapter with the fucking anti-alcohol stuff was completely ridiculous, and also draws me into to wonder, again, who is the target audience for this book? Because knowing some of the things that are in this book later, this book is not for children. It's very much not for children. But like, as an adult reading this who does drink alcohol, having that kind of message makes me think that like that's the thing I would read in like a younger, in a book geared to younger people. So it's like just this weird dissonance. It's so hard to keep track with his sentences because they run on so long that it's just, yeah. There's at least something happening now. So again, if we want to make predictions in the comments, go ahead and let me know. I doubt that anybody's predictions are going to be accurate unless they do look it up what happens. I realized that I said I was having a mukbang, but I had like literally 2 Cheetos. Hey there, Chantal Marie. But yeah. Overall, I this was a great chapter. I had a good time reading it. It was a masterpiece. I loved it. Look forward to chapter 3, and I will get it up as soon as I can. Peace.